Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for part 2 of Day 9 Daily number 420, where we learn to be a better gamer. And it's time for some dramatic music. We're going to be looking at Naniwa's play. His incredible PvT opening, where he has 5 gateways building right now. I just really like this song. This is Blue Sky Black Death. This song is called Swords from Driftwood. I'm not going to do anything until we have the beat in. It's from their album Noir. It's so good. Let's come back and admire Naniwa a bit. Alright, yeah. This is excellent stuff. Taking the 3rd base already. Getting this ground armor up, and at this point in time we see the Colossi is en route. Twilight Council, one of the last things to get built of all this, and seriously, that is so good. It's so good! Who needs commentary when you have this song, right? Alright, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and go back into the this this little game here. So notice that the Twilight Council is actually one of the last things built. This Colossus is quite delayed. We haven't even started range. Ordinarily, we have the Colossus up ready to defend. Ordinarily, this is not anywhere close to started, and there it is, right about ready to finish up. And suddenly, this Colossus that was once upon a time used just for defense, or used just for a little bit of defense until we did a huge counterattack swing. No, now this all of a sudden is just going to be a defending unit with our 3rd base. How weird is that? That's crazy. And Naniwa is positioning everything to deal with a drop. He has these units here to have some say in what happens at the front, but it can also run over here for a drop. All the Stalkers at the back end for the drop. Colossus to the front at the drop. Getting +2. Getting Blink first. Delaying that Zealot leg speed a lot. We're going to push it forward again a little bit. And oh, there's the force coming in. Naniwa is just going to take some of his stuff to the front. But mainly, look at that. Holy crap. I want to just point out how unbelievably beautifully timed this is. The most beautiful timing I have seen in a long time. Most of your timing tends to be in the early game. Like, ooh, yeah, I spent 3 chronos on this building, I spent 2 chronos on this, and it all works out amazing. Derple, 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 derple. But, remember these 5 gateways that we got? Remember these 5? Look at the front, how flimsy it feels. The front feels very flimsy. But because we get these 5 gateways here, and we have these 3 ones in the main, when we see this huge force coming in, boom! Instantly warping in 8 Zealots. And our front looks all the more secure. Instant response, just in the nick of time. This actually becomes a fairly predictable timing to rely on, because we did those early pushes right here. We pushed once, we pushed twice, and then we pulled back and got the 5 gates up. About a minute later, the Terran starts gearing up to do some sort of push, and we can easily warp in 8 Zealots at any time we need. Wonderful. Wonderful. There's a drop that comes into the back of the base. And every Terran player at this very moment is 90% going to be dealing with a 2-base Protoss. A 2-base Protoss who's doing this little Turtle King thing. Rarely ever are they going to be up against a 3-basing Protoss who needs only to defend before he ends up crushing everything with his force. Again, the nice snuggle cuddle. And just as we saw Naniwa getting aggressive in the early game, Naniwa would love to take a 4th base. He would love to take a 4th base right now. He's just going to do another big swing with these exactly 8 gateways. Exactly 3 at the start, exactly 5 more. Not a bunch more, or however much money I have for it. But he's just going to be instantly pushing with exactly these 8 gateways. Kind of bouncing around. And you'll notice that at this moment where Naniwa wants to do another shove, you might think to yourself, I try to do a lot of big attacks in this matchup, and I never really seem to be able to comfortably move out without these drops coming to get me. So here is Naniwa in this defensive position, ready to move out. This blink that we were researching, remember, that's one of the last things we built was this Twilight Council. We got this blink. Look at the way this timing lines up. Right when we were getting ready to attack, that's when blink, or excuse me, let me rephrase. Right when we're getting ready to move out, that's when blink finishes. So what this means is that as Naniwa is starting to move out, if there is a drop, he doesn't need to worry about having his stalkers in the wrong place. He can simply blink up there and get there. What if Naniwa moved out here and an attack came? No problem. Walk stalkers here, blink up, bam. Defend, come over, blink down, attack. So right as Naniwa's getting ready to attack, he's building only stalkers. We haven't really seen him build stalkers for a while. It's been largely zealots. He's far away from speed. I honestly think that most Protosses are in the mindset, hell, I even feel like I'm in the mindset that if I'm in the mid-game, I don't want to attack unless I have speed zealots with my force. If I have a lot of slow zealots in the mid-game, that's bad. Naniwa proving any of that thought process totally wrong. Moving out with a lot of blink, still reinforcing with a lot of stalkers. If at any moment a drop were to begin happening, we could easily get into position with these blink stalkers. Really cool. Naniwa, aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. Crushes this, no problem at all. Still having a good amount of probes. Zealot leg speed finishes, but it doesn't even matter because we're crushing it. We're crushing it. Oh, we also have +2. Nice. Isn't that great? Isn't that just wonderful? GG. I have an idea. Let's watch the same damn opening. Again, in a different situation against a different player. It's S. Wow, I think my face froze for like 10 frames. I was like, Alright, let me come back here. Yeah. SC for you. Ba-dum-bum. Let's breeze through the brilliance of this opening. What could our opponent be doing? Well, gee, he could be going fast Hellions. He could be going for 2 racks. He could be going for early expand. He could be going for Banshees. He could be going 1-1-1. He could even be opening Reaper. Reaper might be the only thing that really would alarm me a lot about this play. But there's still everything easy, simple, and straightforward about just building a Stalker first. And then going right back to everything. In that one circumstance where he's building a Reaper. That's it. Really clean. And so we see Naniwa is doing something a little different. He's getting this Gas Geyser up quite a bit earlier. As he's scouting his opponent, he just can't really find his opponent yet. He's going to scout the last position first. But look at this. Blindly getting a Sentry as his first unit. Still making probes. Very hard to make SCVs with Protoss. And he's going to go ahead and see that there's that early expand there. And he's going to comfortably just move right on out, take himself an expand. Boom. Also, this is an increasingly common technique I see out of pretty much any Protoss. On that return route, on that scout route, just build a pylon that you need to build anyways. If you go up here and he's not here and you really need to build a pylon, just build a pylon there and sort of move on. Nothing wrong with that. Actually, everything great about that. And Naniwa will just be building this Nexus and still kind of just unleashing a stream of sentries. It looks like Naniwa did pull guys out of gas. He actually had 2 in this assimilator, 2 in this assimilator. I wouldn't worry too much about that. That's like ultra ridiculously stupidly high level to allow Naniwa to build everything at these exact ultra nice timings. But to get the basic idea out, I wouldn't be overly concerned about that. Okay, our opponent's early expanding. We don't know if he's going for 4 racks, as he did in the last game. We don't know if he's going fast medevacs. Hell, he could just be going for a lot of add-ons early. We don't know. As it turns out, it is one of those. But we don't know. We have no idea. Ah, look at that. 3 sentries out. There's another forward probe. The probes are actually instrumental in controlling this early game. But we go ahead and build some extra sentries, a zealot, and look at this, chrono boost on just the probes. Already, we have a little bit of a probe lead, even though he got his command center started way earlier than we did. A lot of sentries early on, couple of stalkers. Now, I don't know what the opponent's doing. I don't know he could be doing anything, but I do know he better build a bunch of shit fast if he wants to stay alive. We really need to build a lot if we're Terran. We even see SCVs being pulled. Meanwhile, back home, we're not stressing. We're not cutting probes. We are delaying tech, but that is a choice that we are doing. The Robo gets constructed as this attack is going on. It's a much later Robo than your average bear. Alright, cool. Now, the weakest level of player just doesn't attack ever. The next level of player does make these big attacks and never retreats. If his army is totally screwed, he's going to keep attacking, because that's what he does. The absolute best of the best of the best move all the way forward and then retreat if it's not a good option. That is always a sign of a good player. A player who's always willing to attack, but more importantly, always willing to retreat. Bam. I have a handgun. I'm so cool. Alright. This little push is happening. We're not building a pylon up here. We're not trying to make it a mega all-in. We're just doing a really aggressive move at the start of the game. And already we see, cool, we killed off a couple workers. We see the bunkers down. We're content with that. And our ultra super very late Robo, we're getting our robotic spay right now. Still chrono boosting probes, still chrono boosting around, and getting these extra 2 guys up. I love this. This is just so clean and simple and easy. The one thing that we're seeing Naniwa do a little bit differently is that he kind of has to pull back to take out these rocks, which is a little bit annoying. So in this game, what we see Naniwa do as a replacement is he just builds the 2 forges. He builds himself an extra forge, where normally he would build 1 forge and expand, the way we saw last game. So kick-ass. So, I want to pause right here, and I'm going to ask again, what's our opponent doing? What is he doing? We don't care. We just don't. If we list them off, we realize that we have everything accounted for. Actually, let me rephrase that. What is he doing? I don't want to say we don't know, we don't care, because that's not true. The idea is that he could be going big marine push early on. We didn't see that. Cool, he's not doing it. He could be going a Marine Marauder Ghost push. He could be going for fast drops. The fact of the matter is that we pushed forward, the fast drops are kind of accounted for. He pretty much can only be going for this delayed Marine Ghost push, or he can really only be going for some sort of just big basic ground unit play with some normally timed medevacs, which is what he's doing. Either way, the best way to describe what we're seeing is that Naniwa has already killed off any possibility of some sort of fast drop play coming in and ruining his day. He's already eliminated that completely with this early aggression. So we just don't really need to worry about it that much. So now Naniwa, you'll notice Naniwa has not scouted his opponent at all. He's just gotten this observer there, like just barely. He hasn't even gone into the main to see what's up. But because he has halted this aggression at the front door, he knows now he does need to worry about drops. His way of coping with drops beforehand was simply to be attacking. That's what we saw in game number 1. Here in game number 2, aw yeah, just says, yeah, I'm going to stop attacking, so I better start building some stalkers at the backside. So this third base ends up coming up a little teensy bit later than it did in the last game. Come on, build it. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Building it a little bit later than he did in this particular game. Because in the last game, those 2 pushes helped reveal that I could actually do a little bit of damage. I have a little bit more leeway, a little bit more free time. In this game, as SCFOU had the 3 bunkers up, it looked a little bit tricky to try to do some sort of big engagement, so he just didn't do it, and he's instead favoring getting all this good jazz up. But one thing I have not mentioned is this big push coming, this big push. Alright, cool. So he sees now this gigantic force of stuff starting to step in, and because Naniwa's a huge badass, he pulls back anyways. The Twilight Council that was early is the one thing that I guess stuck out to me as being kind of a big difference between this game and the last game. In the last game, we got this Robo and the Colossus at about the same time. In the last game, we got a Forge at about the same time, but we actually got 2 up. Obviously, because we couldn't take a third, there were rocks there. But this is a lot earlier. In the last game, we had our Expand, we had all 5 gateways started, we had the upgrades, the Robo, and then we got a Twilight Council. But in this game, it ends up being a little bit earlier. And I think there's a couple reasons for that, but we're going to go into that in just a moment. The important thing is that this attack is coming down right now. And you notice Naniwa just leaves all the units that shoot down at the front, and the Stalkers that shoot up at the back. Pretty clean and simple. I mean, a lot of players struggle with this sort of split up, but Naniwa is just being a total unbelievable badass. So, in the last game, we were starting to get really worried about drops. Throughout the whole game, we talked about drops, 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 drops. How did we help delay any drop issues? Well, we did 2 big attacks in a row. And then we went back into defense mode. And when did we start attacking? Well, we started attacking in those next few waves with the Colossus. We started to make those attacks once we had Blink. That was the big signifier that meant we are now allowed to do some attacking. So in this game, I think that Naniwa is going to be getting this early Blink to allow for another big possibility of a push. Also, more basically, it lets us get +2/+2 started, which is obviously a plus. I think quite obviously a plus. But I don't think there's any Chrono Boost going down here. It's just going to be on those upgrades, because those are going to be the more important ones. But per usual, we have this exact same thing happen where we get 5 freaking gates as our third is popping up. 5 gates exactamundo. A Dark Shrine. I'm not going to read too much into that. Dark Shrines are just good on huge open maps like this because you can control space really easily, monitor these expansions, do a little bit of harassment. That's just a good play at this point. The one thing that I do want to talk about, though, is the timing of these 5 gateways. Very, very, very exact. And also the fact that we just built these 2 Colossi and we immediately begin churning out Immortals. Kind of a cool, interesting thing. You might ask yourself, well, why did we stop the Colossus production? Immortals are a hell of a lot cheaper, especially on the gas to get. This very fast double Colossus and then pull right back to getting Immortals helped free up a little bit of gas to be able to, hey, get these double Forge upgrades going and, of course, help us get Blink. Notice that we are still on 2 base worth of gas. I think that this sort of econ management is pretty clever. And Immortals are really good against one of these big maraudering players. But everyone knows that. Everyone's well aware of that. The subtle, interesting thing is the econ part.
Your probes are under attack.
So Naniwa is just under a little bit of duress. He does have the Blink up. He could begin doing some sort of push now, but of course... Or he could begin doing some sort of push and be comfortable against drops because his Blink is now done. But he can't push in this specific situation because there's a huge-ass army outside his front. So it's going to be more comfortable just sort of chilling, defending, sitting. Would love that +2/+2 to be done. And thanks to this amazingly, wickedly good composition, we're able to clean it up with a ton of force fields. Remember those 6 sentries that we got at the start of the game? Well, we've had them for so long that they were all maxed on energy, which makes this much easier to deal with. Oh, so much easier to deal with. So we can now see that this upgrade plus Stalker composition with Blink, very nice for holding off some early attacks. Super good. Love it, love it, loving it. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and take a break. We're just going to finish up this game where we're going to see a little bit of a departure from this idea of some of the openings and some of the crispness of that, and just talk about what happens in the mid-game of an ordinary PvT that Mr. Naniwa might be in, and how he ends up recovering from a pretty nasty situation. That's all we're doing.